you take a step back, the space game genre is in a very weird place right now. On the one hand, it's never been stronger, yet on the other hand, several titles appear to be heading in the wrong direction. The problem then, as far as I see it, is that innovation is lacking. For every No Man's Sky success story, there's multiple failures and mistakes coming from other games. Star Citizen's upcoming update then, 4.0, represents potentially a bold new direction for space games. In my opinion, the update and the content it will bring is something that the genre as a whole desperately needs. Now, it is possible that some people might feel I'm overselling this or have turned shill, so let me explain. 5 years ago, Star Citizen launched version 3.0, and along with it came the ability to land on planets. Initially, this comprised of 3 moons. Eventually, though, it expanded to include worlds with full atmospheres, volumetric clouds, forests, oceans, frozen tundras, deserts, and even more. Cities, of course, are also a thing. Now, generally, Star Citizen planet tech development has been, very slow. And sure, the planets are not true scale, but let's face it, the planets have substantially improved over the years, and today they are the best planets in space gaming. For decades, space games tended to shun the ability to land on planets. After all, space games are about, space, right? Wing Commander, Freelancer, the X series, EVE Online, all huge titles, each great in their own way, yet they were lacking something fundamental. In 1993, Frontier Elite 2 showed how much depth planetary landing could add to a game. You see, space games aren't just about space. Exploring the surface of unknown worlds, landing in cities, mining mountains, flying over coastlines and oceans, atmospheric combat, all of this adds extra powerful dimensions to the game. Planets are important then because they add scale, depth and meaning to the vast space that interconnects them. And without them, space really does feel empty no matter how much you populate it. Imagine Star Wars without Tatooine, or Star Trek without Strange New Worlds, or The Expanse without Earth and Mars. The problem is that planets are a massive challenge for developers. Whilst the past 10 years have seen numerous games add them, each has done so in their own unique way. Space Engineers and Dual Universe have landable worlds. Meanwhile, No Man's Sky has trillions of landable planets. Now, whilst No Man's Sky and Space Engineers are highly respected, and rightly so, they do have one undermining flaw, and that's a pretty simple, straightforward one. Their planets lack any sense of realism. For realistic-looking worlds then, players would need to look elsewhere. It was in 2015 then that arguably the best version of planetary landing appeared in the form of Elite Dangerous expansion, Horizons. The Horizons planets in 2015 really were something else. Elite, though, appeared to have technical problems, and its landable worlds went through a variety of iterations, some worse, some better. Iterations aside, however, Elite was stuck with the same planet types for 6 long years. Then, in 2021, with the arrival of Odyssey, another expansion, new planets arrived with very basic atmospheres. The problem, as many will know, Odyssey was plagued by difficulties. Additionally, changes to the game drastically reduced the quality of the original landable worlds that were first introduced in Horizons. Developers Frontier never managed to overcome these difficulties, and in April of 2022, they admitted they would no longer even try and would instead refocus their attention elsewhere, thus leaving their worlds with a decidedly previous generation look and feel. In 2022, the space game genre is arguably in the strongest position it has ever been. I mentioned that earlier. No Man's Sky goes from strength to strength. X4 continues to receive numerous expansions. Everspace 2 makes regular, fantastic progress. And there's Starfield on the horizons that may or may not be good, but either way, it's something to keep an eye on. Maybe it will have planetary tech, or maybe not. Well, it's going to have planets of some type, but how they're implemented, no one yet knows, at least no one outside of Bethesda. Now, the real problem here is the key ingredient of the next generation quality planets, at least in today's titles, is very much lacking. It seems then that full world tech is only being pushed by 2 companies. Asobo with Microsoft Flight Simulator, which contains a full, accurate one-to-one copy of Earth, featuring some of the best graphics that have ever been put in a video game. The other company is CIG with Star Citizen, and this is where we get back to the next update, or the future update rather, update 4.0. The update, according to CIG, will contain not only a brand new star system, but also numerous planets on which to land. Now, these worlds are not just barren copies of previous worlds. Instead, they are visually distinct and graphically impressive, highly detailed planets. Worlds that have their own biome. Worlds that are visually interesting. Pyro 3, for example, is as visually recognizable in Star Citizen as Tatooine is in Star Wars. It is this step, then, that I feel the space game genre desperately needs. In my opinion, one thing that makes sci-fi so incredible is the sense of being immersed in different worlds, different galaxies, the feeling of being transported somewhere else. Of course, to an extent, all games do this, but I feel that space games need to convey this in a deeper sense than many other games. And this for the very reason that you are literally moving from world to world, and therefore worlds really need to look interesting and different one from the other. When you get into your spaceship and leave one location, it needs to feel like a journey. And when you arrive at your destination, it needs to feel dramatically different to the place you left. Variations on colour palettes just don't cut it. Star Citizen's upcoming Pyro star system then, theoretically at least, should deliver variation in abundance. Now, Star Citizen 4.0 isn't all about new locations. It's also about new gameplay and new underlying architecture. CIG have spent the last few years developing a new technology which will recreate the foundation upon which Star Citizen is built. The technology is known as server meshing. This will be arriving with the 4.0 update. A preceding layer of this tech will be delivered later this year in patch 3.18. When done, CIG state that Star Citizen will have a level of persistence not usually seen in online games. They claim that every object will have a permanent place within the game. For example, drop any object in a forest on the world of Microtech, and there it will remain. Return months later, and assuming no one else has taken it, the object will still be there. So this naturally opens up a lot of avenues for gameplay. This type of technology, this level of persistence, it can be used in many different areas of the game. Along with server meshing, which will allow for multiple star systems and higher numbers of players, patch 4.0 will mark the moment that Star Citizen, arguably at least, becomes a true game. But yes, Star Citizen will still be an alpha with version 4.0. No one knows when, or perhaps even if, Star Citizen will ever leave its alpha state. Many active players, however, really don't seem to care. Further, CIG themselves don't even seem to mention the alpha tag in much of their promotional materials. Regardless, CIG's approach to development and, more importantly, how they finance the project continue to generate a lot of controversy. Many people, understandably, have grown increasingly cynical about Star Citizen and CIG. This is perhaps underscored by the relative shallow content that has been released in recent times. The rest of 2022 also looks like slim pickings when it comes to new content. There will be new content, of course, but expectations on depth and breadth of this year's content should certainly be kept in check. In many ways then, it seems CIG are betting everything on 4.0. This isn't unprecedented. They did similar 5 years ago with 3.0. Yet, if CIG can deliver, then this will be a huge step, not just for Star Citizen, but also for space gaming in general. To this date, the variety and, more importantly, the quality and visual realism of the worlds that Star Citizen 4.0 will offer is something that simply doesn't exist in any other space game. Like it or not, CIG are currently the only studio pushing this aspect of the genre forwards, and really, that is something that is deeply needed. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.